If you're wondering why you should... What the hell? If you're wondering why you should listen to me, some random guy on the internet with a camera, compared to anyone else, well, I've done a fair amount of research into this topic, and I've learnt quite a few new things, and hopefully I can bring those things to you in a bit more of a concise, compressed, autistic, my way of, presenting it so you can understand it a bit better. I'm sure all of you have heard of the term doom scrolling, where essentially the popular definition for it is that we continuously keep scrolling on social media apps without thinking about it. It's like a subconscious behavior where we continue scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and eventually we'll catch ourselves and time has just gone by. Like 3 hours gone by and it's felt like 10 minutes. Well, apparently the actual definition of doom scrolling is when you go online and you scroll down to find negative information, like negative news articles, negative media, to reinforce your negative emotions about something. So essentially you're stepping into quicksand. So say you feel bad about something that's happened in your life, you feel terrible. Right, say you've done bad on a test, or your mum's just shouted at you, or your dad just beat you, or some stuff like that. Whatever it is that you feel really negative about, you will then go onto your phone and scroll to find negative media to make you feel reinforced and validated for what you feel like, because your parents haven't done that for you. The problem with that is that it's essentially like stepping into quicksand, and when you step into quicksand, we know what happens. You end up sinking, and you sink, and you sink, and it's basically that those negative feelings of continuously looking at negative posts is going to keep pulling you down, making you more anxious, more depressed, more sad about the area that you're in, and way more lonely and unprepared to deal with whatever it is that's in front of you. The constant repetitive moving of your thumb to scroll down a page can actually be linked to OCD. It doesn't mean that you have OCD, it's the other way around. It's that people who have OCD are more likely to do things repetitively. Now, the thing is, what social media has done, right, is that we continuously do this on our phones. And that's a repetitive activity, and we continuously do that even subconsciously, without even thinking about it. We'll continue to scroll. And now the thing is, when we continue to scroll, that's a repetitive activity. So as I said, that can be linked to OCD, which is a problem because it means that most people are having OCD tendencies just due to their social media addiction. Now, I don't blame you, right? I don't blame you for feeling a certain way about social media and being addicted to it. Like, the algorithm catches onto me too. But the crazy thing is what these social media companies actually do. Now, I explained in a video before about the way that dopamine works. The way that dopamine works in your head, right? And essentially, right, you have a goal. And the closer you move towards that goal, the more dopamine you get released. So it's essentially that you have an unknown outcome that could happen, but you're moving towards it because you don't know what could happen. And the fact that you don't know what could happen makes that rush of dopamine even better. So essentially, like say for example, when you try to take a risk, right? When you're taking that risk, you have adrenaline, you have dopamine, everything's coming out because you're taking a risk. And you have an unexpected outcome. You don't know what could happen next, which is why you're so ready to keep doing the thing. Like when you're watching a movie which has a thriller, you don't know what could happen next, which is why you're ready to watch the rest of the film. Now, you see, social media companies have adopted this exact sort of technique and they're using it on you. So it's a slot machine theory. Now, a slot machine, as you may have heard of before from like casinos and stuff, is essentially where you pull a lever and you'll get an unexpected outcome. And people will continue to do it because they don't know what that outcome could be, but it means that they could win something. There is the opportunity to win something, but there's also the opportunity to not. And they don't know what could happen, so they're going to keep trying because they're hoping they can get that positive. Now, social media companies have adopted this exact theory where they'll go onto the apps, right, and they'll give you certain media, certain posts that are boring, that are really mundane. You'll notice this when you're scrolling. Some posts you just scroll right by because they're boring. And then they'll also give you some really good posts, some really exciting posts throughout, like in the middle of those mundane posts. Now, essentially what that means is that when you scroll onto a post that you think is really exciting and really dopamine hitting, you want to comment, you want to like, you want to share. And those are all like micro dopamines that are going to make you want to scroll more. Now, essentially you found that post and it's like, oh, the dopamine's hit. Now your body's reinforced that, your mind has reinforced that, so you're going to want to scroll more until you find a video similar to that. Now, when you keep scrolling, you're going to keep going through mundane posts and your dopamine is going to go down and down and down. Boring. And then, bam, you find a post that's exciting. Boom, dopamine boost. That's the way exactly how social media companies work. And that's how the scrolling mechanism works, which is why you continue to scroll. So no, I don't blame you. It's the algorithm catching on to you, and you will get addicted because you continuously do the scrolling movement, which isn't that hard to do. So it's pulling you down through the ground, and it's not letting go. So how can we take this information and help us in our own lives so we're not so addicted to the dopamine that we come across when we start scrolling? So there's little things that you can do to actually help you to stop scrolling so much and stop going on your phone so much. So I've done a lot of things over a long period of time to find some things that work, and I think I found things that work. So essentially, right, the first things I tried, as everyone says, delete the apps. When you think about it, it doesn't really work, right, does it? Because you go off the app and then you start getting that fear of missing out, the fear that there's going to be something that you're going to miss out on, everyone's going to know about, and you won't know. Well, then when you go into the app, you're going to want to download it more. Well, then when you open your phone, you're going to want to download the app again and then see what's going on. Side note, actually, when you go on these social media apps and you keep scrolling and scrolling, right, it actually messes up your creativity. Because your thoughts aren't your own anymore. They're everyone else's thoughts. They're all their thoughts, all their ideas, all amalgamated into your own head. So it's not your thoughts, it's someone else's thoughts. And you've become a funnel of their ideas to everyone else instead of having your ideas funneled out to everyone else. So what are some little things that we can do to actually stop being so addicted? So as I said, I would always go back and keep on downloading the app because I would have that fear of missing out. So deleting the app didn't work. Okay, let's try grayscale mode. Grayscale mode actually worked for a long time, but then it got kind of, dry and boring. So then I thought, okay, there's this app called Minimalist Phone, which I know a lot of people may have heard of, and a lot of ads, annoying ass ads, come up on YouTube all the time. But I've used it for a very, very long time, and it's actually been very useful because you can hide apps. It stops all the bright, flashy app icons coming up so that you automatically click on it. It's just names of the apps in themselves. And then your home screen is just black, so there's not really much to go off, and you have to move, and everything's just kind of moved around. The thing is, the more that you do it over time, the more that you have it, the more you get to use typing the apps in and going on the apps. So I would say delete the apps on top of that, so that you kind of reinforce a new behavior within yourself. One really interesting thing that I came across in my research was about not keeping your phone near your bed when you wake up in the morning. So I know we should all think about this, right? I literally charge my phone right next to my bed. My bed's over there, I charge my phone right next to my bed. So I haven't actually adhered to this information. But that's because when I wake up in the morning, I try my best to not go on my phone. And most times, I don't go on my phone. I just get up and start working. So it hasn't been much of a problem for me. But I know it used to be. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are still experiencing this where they wake up in the morning and they just start going on their phone. So how do you solve that? How do you fix that little piece of addiction in the morning so that you can just get up and start working? Well, literally just move your phone from charging next to your bed to somewhere else. And you might ask why? Well, because your dopamine receptors, the way you perceive dopamine, is reset largely in the morning. And then that's why you have a little bit of self-control. That's why when you wake up in the morning, you have control over you do. And you think, okay, I'm just going to get up and do this. You have an amount of self-control. But the thing is, when you pick up your phone and start scrolling, that autonomy goes away. So when you just put your phone somewhere else and you don't pick up your phone in the morning to start scrolling, you just get up and start working, you're more motivated, you have more discipline, you're going to work more. So essentially, move your phone somewhere else and don't charge it next to your bed. And I know some of you aren't going to want to do that, and I know some of you are going to be pussies about it, but just do it. Try it for a few nights and see how it goes. It's about experiencing the thing and seeing how it works. If it works for you, then it works for you. Then you keep doing that. As you see, my phone is next to my bed. It hasn't been that much of a problem for me, but it might be that much of a problem for you. So which is why you might want to move it and then try putting it somewhere else. Now, one really important thing that I have done so much recently after I learned it was being aware of your actions. So essentially, this is something that monks do, right? Where if you're addicted to something, they will actually make you not stay away from the urge, but actually allow yourself for that urge to happen. Embrace the urge and embrace the bad habit. But be very, very, very aware of what you're doing and very mindful of what you're doing while you do it. So essentially, the example that was said was that there was this monk who really wanted to have potato chips, and he had the urge of potato chips to be made by that in India by the Indian person who makes potato chips every day, so the potato chips he makes are going to be really fucking good, so he wants to try the potato chips. And his, well, higher up basically told him, take the potato chips, buy the packets of potato chips, and if anything, buy 3 and bring them back to the monastery. And when he came back to the monastery, he would, anytime he would have the urge to have it, he would be completely aware what he was doing. Like, I'm picking up the packet here, I'm opening up the packet, and I want to have one of these potato chips. I'll eat it. I like the potato chip. He's going to see how it feels, be aware how it feels, and aware of what he's doing while he's doing it. Now he's going to keep doing that. The more aware you become, it doesn't become an unconscious behavior anymore. Understand this, right? Essentially, when you're addicted to a bad habit, it becomes an unconscious behavior. Scrolling is an unconscious behavior. Now, if you make it a conscious behavior and you become mindful of what you're doing, you then change the brain circuits that are involved when you are doing it. So if it becomes a conscious behavior for you to do, you're thinking about what you're about to do. So you're not subconsciously going onto it and scrolling or eating the bad food. So it becomes a conscious behavior, and you have control over conscious behaviors. And now, because you have control over conscious behaviors, you can stop yourself from doing it. And you become less addicted. Over time, you keep chipping away at that addiction, the more you become consciously aware of what you're doing. And this works for any addiction: watching porn, playing video games, eating junk food, and as it comes, as we said, the scrolling, staying on social media. You actually use that tactic of being more aware, being more mindful of what you're doing. I guarantee you see progress, because I've seen massive progress from doing it. So I'm just going to end this video by saying, for anyone new, my name is Vanch, and I upload 2 or sometimes 1 self-improvement video a day, where I'll just give you advice and tips on how to move your life forward, or a little bit or even a lot. So click on subscribe and the post notifications so we can have a cute relationship together, and I can talk to you like, you know what, you're one of my best friends. And you are. So click on subscribe, post notifications, do that shit. You can see more of my videos, and we can cuddle and shit. And finally, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me, especially. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. Hopefully you can stop your addiction just as I did, and, you know, improve your life, your attention span, your mindfulness, and also for the people around you. Thank you for listening. Go get that shit. Love you, man.